The film begins in North Africa during the 16th century, where the English pirate Solomon leads his crew into battle to defeat the Ottomans who have taken control of the land. A fierce fight breaks out in the streets, and Solomon shows off his incredible combat skills, killing his enemies without mercy. Eventually, they reach the castle. The defenders quickly shut the gates and try to keep them out, but Solomon's crew blows up the entrance. As fire spreads through the corridors, Solomon walks among the bodies until he finds a soldier still alive. He threatens him until the man reveals the location of the throne room, then shoots him dead before moving on. The group heads toward the throne room and finds mirrors surrounding them. As the men begin to enter, demons emerge from the glass, attacking and dragging some of the warriors into the mirrors. The crew is terrified, but Solomon insists they keep going. When one man tries to run, Solomon shoots him. At that moment, a door opens at the far end, revealing the throne. Solomon steps inside, but the door slams shut behind him, leaving the rest of the crew outside. He starts hearing a strange sound but ignores it, focused on taking the treasure. Near the king's corpse, the room begins to freeze, and the temperature drops sharply. As the cold takes over, shadows start rising from the statues, gathering around the throne and forming a demon known as the Soul Reaper. The creature strikes Solomon with immense force, knocking him to the ground. The Reaper explains that he has come to claim Solomon's soul because of the life of greed and killing he has lived, then attacks him again. Before things get worse, Solomon summons his fiery sword. The Reaper swings at him, but Solomon blocks the attack with his blades, declaring that he is not ready for hell yet. After a rapid exchange of blows, Solomon jumps out the window and escapes. A year later, in England, Solomon lives in a monastery. He has abandoned violence and donated his wealth to the church as part of his attempt to cleanse his soul and avoid damnation. His room is covered with disturbing notes, and his body is marked with protective tattoos meant to shield him from demons. One afternoon, a priest explains that ever since Solomon arrived, he has sensed a growing darkness over the monastery. The night before, he had a strange dream and heard whispers. Suddenly, Solomon is attacked from behind by a man with a knife, and two others emerge from hiding, beating him repeatedly before searching his bag. When they find no money but see papers filled with strange symbols, they assume he's a sorcerer and decide to burn him like a witch. Solomon doesn't fight back, and they continue beating him until he loses consciousness. The story then flashes back, revealing that Solomon was the son of an important lord. As the second son, he wasn't meant to inherit the land, that would go to his older brother, Marcus, while Solomon was expected to become a priest. He refused and ran away, causing his father to disown him. The Soul Reaper suddenly appears in the flashback, and Solomon wakes up to find himself in a carriage with the Crowthorn family. They assure him he's safe and that they'll soon stop to camp for the night. Wanting to help, Solomon washes up while the children stare at his tattoos. At dinner, he tells stories about the people who used to hire his crew for battles. Meredith finds the stories fascinating, while her older brother mocks him for supporting violence. Their father, William, shares that he once served in the Queen's army and that losing his faith was difficult, while Solomon admits it was easy for him. That night, Solomon dreams again of his childhood. As he was leaving his father's land, he saw Marcus trying to assault a girl and beating her. Solomon stepped in and pulled a knife, but Marcus easily overpowered him and cut his face. He then dragged Solomon to the edge of a cliff and tried to push him off, but Solomon turned the tables and pushed Marcus instead. Marcus slipped on a rock and fell to his death. Back in the present, Solomon wakes up and sits with William by the fire. William shows him a necklace with a picture of his wife and daughter and explains that his family is heading to the New World to start over. He invites Solomon to join them, but Solomon refuses, believing his soul is cursed. In the following days, Solomon continues traveling with the Crowthorn family, and Meredith makes him new clothes. One afternoon, her younger brother Samuel asks Solomon to teach him some sword moves, so Solomon gives him basic training using sticks. During their journey, they come across a burned village filled with bodies whose eyes have been burned out. William believes the devil is responsible, but Solomon discovers that the villagers had tried, and failed, to burn a witch. Meredith notices movement and finds a girl still alive among the corpses. They take her back to their camp, where she explains that the villagers tried to burn the witch, but the fire didn't harm her. Instead, the witch killed everyone and burned out their eyes for watching her burn. The Crowthorn family decides to pray for the dead, but the girl angrily refuses, raising Solomon's suspicions. He takes a cross and offers it to her, but she looks at Meredith and says that she's the one they want. It's revealed that the girl is actually the witch. She marks Meredith's hand with a strange symbol before her eyes change. She lunges at Solomon, telling him that the devil is waiting for him. He pushes her away, and she reveals her true form. After failing another attack, she transforms into a flock of birds and escapes. In a nearby village, a group of violent cultists attacks the locals and throws them into cages for their master, the sorcerer Malachi. Their leader, the masked rider, rewards his men by touching their faces and transferring some of his power to them. Their eyes change, and his touch leaves burn marks on their skin, but they become stronger. At the same time, the Crowthorn family is setting up camp while Solomon examines the mark on Meredith's hand, unable to understand it. That night, Samuel wakes Solomon, saying he heard strange noises. Solomon goes to investigate and discovers that Malachi's cult is kidnapping more people. With Solomon gone, the cult easily surrounds the camp and captures the family. William is beaten when he tries to defend himself, and the cult notices the mark on Meredith's hand, realizing she's the one they want. The masked rider agrees. Shortly after, Solomon returns, and Samuel begs him to kill them all, but Solomon instead tries to negotiate for the family's release. The masked rider uses magic to speak through one of his men and demands that Solomon kill him, but Solomon refuses, saying he has become a man of peace. One of the cultists immediately kills Samuel, and that's when Solomon breaks. Devastated, he decides to break his vow of peace, declaring he's willing to go to hell if it means destroying these monsters. Enraged, he launches into battle, disarming one attacker with ease and stabbing him. As more cult members try to fight him, others drag Meredith away. William tries to help her but is stabbed by two men, and soon after, his eldest son is killed as well. Solomon's rage grows even stronger. He beheads another cultist and keeps fighting, killing anyone who dares stand in his way. While he's distracted, the masked rider and most of his followers escape on horseback with Meredith, leaving Solomon unable to catch them. Afterward, Solomon sees William dying and swears he will save Meredith. William tells him that if he rescues her, his soul will be freed as well, then he dies. His wife gives Solomon a necklace to take with him before he leaves. Solomon takes weapons and a horse from the cult and notices a dark energy rising from their bodies. As he rides through the forest, some cult members emerge from hiding and chase him. He pulls out two pistols and shoots two men at the same time. Then he catches up with another group on the road and kills them quickly with precise sword strikes. After that, he frees the prisoners from their cages, shows them the necklace, and asks about Meredith, but no one has seen her. A few miles away, the cult attacks and burns another village. Meredith is locked in a cage, trying to calm the other captives while the masked rider watches them. 3 days later, Solomon sees many people fleeing from yet another destroyed village, searching for a new home. He decides to ride to the ruins and rest in an abandoned church. As he begins to pray, he's surprised to find Father Michael, who never left his church. Michael explains that he has witnessed terrible things and confirms that the cult has devastated the region. Their master, Malachi, is a servant of the devil, though no one has ever seen him because he hides in his castle. He also explains that the cult's victims either become soldiers or die, depending on their strength. Suddenly, Solomon hears strange noises, ghouls lurking beneath the ground. He's shocked that Michael hasn't destroyed them, but the priest explains that they were once his congregation, cursed and transformed by Malachi. He says he can't bring himself to kill them for something that isn't their fault, and even admits that he feeds them. Then he suddenly pushes Solomon into the pit and shuts the door. The ghouls immediately swarm Solomon, trying to devour him, but he draws his sword and starts killing them. Some of the creatures feed on their fallen companions while others continue attacking him, but his torch helps keep them at bay. Up in the church, Michael tries to listen to what's happening below, but suddenly someone enters and attacks him. Down in the tunnel, a ghoul jumps onto Solomon's back, but he slams it against the wall, creating a hole. He throws it aside and widens the opening to escape. As he runs through the narrow passage, the ghouls chase him, but he uses the torch to push them back and throws objects behind him to block their path. As he nears the exit, another ghoul lunges at him, but Solomon kills it instantly. 2 more appear and pursue him, so he rushes to the exit, breaks through wooden boards, and climbs to the surface. The ghouls try to follow, but the light burns them, forcing them back underground. Afterward, Solomon encounters a group of former thieves who have cut off Michael's head. The 3 of them have agreed to serve Malachi and have gained some power, though they don't know how to use it well. Solomon defeats them one by one within minutes. He then threatens to throw one of them to the ghouls while showing him Meredith's picture, demanding to know where she is. The thief claims that the girl is dead, and Solomon loses control, beating him before leaving him to be devoured by the ghouls. Shortly after, Solomon arrives in a town and heads to a tavern to drink, hoping to forget his troubles. At that moment, some members of his old crew approach him, asking him to become their captain again, but he refuses because he no longer has anything to fight for. In the middle of the night, a group of men ambushes him while he's asleep and captures him. The next morning, 2 men are crucified for defying Malachi, while the masked rider watches. Soon after, Solomon is brought in as well, and the rider orders his men to crucify him. Unlike the others, Solomon doesn't scream, he believes he deserves it. When he loses consciousness, the masked rider leaves with his followers. At the back of the caravan, the cages carrying the prisoners include Meredith, who is alive and well. She sees Solomon on the cross and starts screaming his name, which wakes him up. Realizing she's okay, Solomon, driven by desperation, pulls his hands free from the nails, breaks the ropes, and falls to the ground. The cultists surround him, preparing to kill him, but his old crew suddenly appears and fights them off, defeating them within seconds. That night, Solomon wakes up in a bed inside a hideout, where a healer is treating his wounds. He asks her to leave him alone, then removes the bandages and notices the scars left by the nails. After confirming he can still use his hand, he begins preparing to leave. One of his crew members tells him he should wait until he fully recovers, but Solomon responds harshly. The others then explain that they're ready to fight alongside him to defeat Malachi. At dinner, the group talks more about Malachi's past. He was once a wise priest who sold his soul to the devil in exchange for power. The masked rider follows his orders, and rumors say he has no face beneath the mask. Solomon says they must kill the rider first to weaken Malachi. The group tells him that the enemy's base is Xmouth Castle, which shocks Solomon because it's where he grew up. He also learns that the lord of the castle has died, which fuels his thirst for revenge, and he orders everyone to prepare. Soon after, Solomon and his crew sneak into the castle through a secret tunnel he remembers from childhood. A witch appears on the balcony and throws a skull, but at the same moment Solomon throws his sword, shattering it on the ground like a warning signal. A large number of cultists emerge, and the battle begins. As men fall everywhere, the masked rider enters the fight and starts killing the crew one by one. Solomon rushes to stop him and orders his men to retreat and hide, knowing they can't win this battle. As they withdraw, Solomon faces the rider, who pushes him back. Solomon takes advantage of the moment and blocks the path to prevent him from following. He then moves through the corridors, avoiding the cultists until he reaches the prison. Just as he's about to free the captives, one of the cultists appears behind him, but Solomon kills him quickly, takes his keys, and opens all the cells. Unfortunately, Meredith isn't among them. He finds one last prisoner, and to his shock, it's his father. Solomon tries to break the chains, but his father explains they're bound with dark magic and can't be broken. Solomon apologizes for Marcus's death, but his father reveals that Marcus didn't die. He survived the fall but was badly injured and never regained consciousness. Doctors and priests couldn't help him, so the father hired a sorcerer. Marcus woke up, but he was controlled by darkness and obeyed only the sorcerer's commands. His face was so badly damaged that he began wearing a mask. It turns out Marcus is the masked rider, and the sorcerer who saved him was Malachi, who took all of the Lord's wealth as payment. Overwhelmed with guilt, the father takes Solomon's gun and begs him to end his suffering, crying. Solomon shoots him out of mercy. In another tunnel, the crew holds off the cultists with guns and bows, but they can't last much longer. Solomon gets close, kills one of the enemies, and asks his crew to hold out just a little longer while he finishes things. He then heads to the throne room and knocks on the closed doors. At that moment, a group of cultists appears behind him, but before they can attack, the doors open. Solomon immediately steps inside and sees Meredith in a cage. She warns him that it's a trap. On the throne, Malachi mocks Solomon before using magic to disappear. Solomon decides to free Meredith, and she tells him they captured her just to lure him back to the castle. Suddenly, the masked rider stabs Solomon in the shoulder and throws him to the ground. Before the fight begins, Solomon refuses to fight his brother and tries to talk to him, but Marcus keeps attacking, forcing Solomon to defend himself. The two brothers are equally skilled, clashing across the room without either gaining the upper hand. While they're distracted, Meredith escapes from the cage and hides. At that moment, Malachi returns and reveals a massive mirror with a terrifying demon inside it. As the situation grows more desperate, Solomon continues fighting until he finally manages to stab Marcus. When Marcus grabs him by the throat, Solomon removes his mask, revealing his horribly disfigured face, which makes Marcus let go. Solomon throws a torch at him, setting him on fire, then finishes him off with several final blows. At the same time, Malachi takes Meredith hostage and uses her blood on the mirror, releasing the demon. Solomon immediately starts running to dodge the creature's slow attacks, then turns back to Malachi and offers his soul in exchange for Meredith. Malachi doesn't believe him and tries to kill her, but Solomon strikes him in the head with his gun. The sorcerer falls into the mirror, where the demon pulls him in along with Solomon's soul, causing him to collapse. Meredith runs to him, thinking he's dead, but suddenly Solomon wakes up. Remembering William's words, he realizes he has finally achieved redemption by saving her. The crew arrives soon after and explains that all the cultists have fallen and the war is over. From that point on, Solomon travels across continents, fighting monsters and protecting the innocent. And that's the end of the film. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, my friends, to like the video and subscribe to the channel.